Oh my gosh. Great, 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 great big one. I don't know how many greats you can say great, but that's a great big one. Right here is why you got to use a really, really moderate action rod, because he wasn't mad at all when he bit out there and we got him up beside the boat. Now he's really mad. But when he surges like that, see how when it's like that, like really surges like that, if that rod didn't bow like that much, dude, he would just rip those hooks out. Summertime fish don't give up quite as easy as they do in the winter. I'm nervous. He not done. Looks like you got it pretty good though. That's a mouthful. Now he doesn't have it very good at all. Luckily I got him, because he went from having a whole bunch of them to only one of them. But I'll tell you one thing. How about that for starting the day? Look at that. See how that fell out like that? I'm telling you, that moderate action rod when you're cranking, that's why. Because if that wouldn't have been a moderate action rod, if that had been a regular graphite rod, that hook would have just pulled right out. But instead, we got a giant in the boat to start off the day. What an awesome fish, man. There's nothing like the way a 7-pounder locks up a deep crankbait. I mean, just you know, you're reeling along, you know, speed kills with a crankbait, and they just lock it up, and oh, that is such an awesome bite. But the setup that I use, I think, you know, I love offshore cranking in the summertime. The setup I use, I think, is a lot to it. I use a 7-foot 10-inch Halo cranking series rod. The 7-foot 10-inch is for two different reasons. One, it's to launch. The further you cast that thing, the deeper you can get it. The deeper you can get it, the more depth ranges you can cover. So the 710 for launching it, and then also for picking up that line. When he just locks that thing up, you want to be able to pull back and set those hooks. You don't want to jerk. You just want to kind of lean back into it. And then also when he comes up way out there with all that line and jumps, that big long rod, that'll keep a lot of that slack out of there, and slack is what you absolutely don't want. As you could see, that fish was barely hooked. And hey, if I would have let any little bit of slack on that fish would have been gone, and that this morning wouldn't have started nearly as well without a 7-pounder. So that's the deal. I like an Ardent 6.5-to-1 reel. You know, a 6.5-to-1. To me, it's the best. Some guys will use a 7-to-1. Some guys will use a 5-to-1. A 5-to-1 to me, does it make your hand not as sore by the end of the day? Yes, it does. Don't be a wussy. If the fish runs at you with a 5-to-1, you're not going to be able to catch up the line. Keep the line tight. Once again, always keeping that line tight. So I take the middle of the road, the 6.5-to-1. You know, I like the Ardent on the Halo rod. 12-pound Sunline crank. Sometimes I'll use 10-pound, but like we're fishing brush piles here today. If we were just fishing shell beds, I'd be using Sunline Crank FC 10-pound, but I put 12 on it today because I knew we'd be in the brush a little bit. This is a Strike King 6XD. There's a bunch of different plugs that would work. That's just the one I'm using today. But I mean, that's the setup right there. That whole thing, it's a system to be able to do that, and you saw exactly what that system can do.